Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's stream where we are playing Age of Vikings, an RPG exploring worlds of myth and adventure in the deep and vibrant setting of Icelandic sagas. I am James, and I'm going to be the game master for today's session, where this fantastic crew of players will be taking us through an adventure set in Iceland during the autumn of 977. We're using Quest Portal today as a VTT for our roles and character sheets, and without further ado, let me hand across to our wonderful cast to introduce themselves. We'll start off with Noura. Tell us who you are and what do you know about Vikings?
Hi everybody, I'm Noura Ibrahim, at Neurological on all the things. You might have seen me on Graveyards of Arkham on Chaosium, also on the Glass Cannon Network on a bunch of stuff, especially Time for Chaos, our Call of Cthulhu show. I'm also on Faster Purple Worm Kill Kill, our D&D improv comedy where everybody dies at the end on the D&D Adventures channel on Amazon Freebie and Plex.
Spoilers!
And I know. No, it's in the tagline, like everybody dies. We all die in every episode. And I know absolutely nothing, so this is going to be a nice... I've been learning a little bit through reading through the PDF, so that's just like my very basic intro. I look forward to hearing everything Skid knows about Viking culture.
Yes, I think Skid will be our expert for this.
Yes, a captive audience.
Perfect. Let's go across to Ashley May.
Hi, I'm Ashley May King. You can find me across the internet at Ashley May King. I stream with the Swole Initiative Network, where you've maybe seen me run some Appalachian-themed Cthulhu. I also have some work coming up with the Do You Validate Network. And I know of Vikings through opera. That's kind of I only know the saga of Siegfried because of the opera. And so that's kind of my in, but I find it so fascinating. So I'm also very excited for this history lesson that this game, I'm sure, will be today.
I only know the Bugs Bunny kill the wabbit.
Close enough. Can't go wrong with
What's opera doc? What's opera doc is my baseline.
That's it. That's basically it.
That's pretty much it. That's all you need to know.
Perfect.
That's all I have here in my notes. It's just all stuff from the cartoon.
Written over and over and over again.
Yes. Kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit. Yeah, that's it.
In a stark spiral.
Skid, what about yourself then?
Hi, I'm Skid Maher. You might know me from the Glass Cannon network of podcasts, etc. You can find me normally at Murdertron 3000 for some reason on a lot of platforms. And I'm just really excited to talk about Vikings because, as I did for our Pendragon stream with Brian Holland, I took a Great Courses course on Arthurian legend for that. I took a Great Courses course on Viking history for this one. Shout out to Professor Jennifer Paxton from Catholic University. Did a great job. So very excited to share some fun facts about Viking stuff.
I'm going to be very reliant on you because I think at this point I haven't done that much setting preparation. So please feel free to speak up at any point with interesting Viking facts. Last but not least, we have London.
Hello, everybody. My name is London Carlisle. You can find me online at London Carlisle. My name. Don't Google me, though. You'll just get like train schedules. But other than that, you may know me from here on the Stream of Chaos playing wonderful games like RuneQuest or mainly Call of Cthulhu that I've played many places online, namely Spot Hidden with my friends there, with Ain't Slayed Nobody on the Down Darker Trails podcast, also on the Stream of Blood in the Gaslight setting. So all things spooky, that's me. All things Viking, we'll see. More on my rhyme scheme later tonight, but thank you for having me here, and so excited for this. So excited.
Brilliant. Okay, well, that's everybody. So let's jump in a bit. But first of all, a little bit more background on Age of Vikings. Mechanically, the game is going to be pretty familiar to anybody who has played any Chaosium game or BRP-based game before. So basically, it's a D100 system, and we want to roll under our skills and characteristics to succeed. And if we roll under them by enough, we can have extra good things happen. So if I have a skill of 60 in something, I want to roll under it on a D100, that will be a success. And if I roll under a 12, so 1/5 of my score, that's a special success, and extra good things can happen. That's the real heart of the mechanics, and we add extra bits onto it there. From there, there's all kinds of spellcasting rules. There's a very visceral combat system. Combat's very dangerous in this game, so be ready when you get into it. And there's rules for everything from skiing to shipbuilding, although we won't need the shipbuilding this time. That'll have to be for a different moment.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. In terms of the setting itself, it's been better said by real people. Saxo Grammaticus, a
Yes.
Danish 12th century historian, who Skid can confirm is a real name because I didn't believe
A real person. Yes, Saxo Grammaticus.
Yeah. But to quote, on the west of Norway comes the island called Iceland, with the mighty ocean washing round it, a land very squalid to dwell in. But noteworthy for marvels, both strange occurrences and objects that pass belief. In all seriousness, this is a game that does lean somewhat into the kind of historical aspects of the Viking era, but there's also a real embrace of the fantastical and the mythic, basically taking some of the beliefs of the time and treating them as completely factual, so you can experience all of this kind of wonderful legendary stuff. And with no spoilers, we'll be diving into a little bit of that side for today's session. One last point for people who might be into historical simulation stuff. My accent will not be at historical simulation standards, so I apologize to everybody for the names that I will attempt to do my best at pronouncing. Let's get started then. As I begin by saying, it should be good, but it isn't. Those were the words that were left for all of you when you were instructed by your local chieftain, or Hodi. Thank you, excellent. Hafren Regison, to go and look into a series of strange happenings taking place on the farm of Bjorg Finnsdottir. You are all heroes, or you'd like to be. More accurately, you're prominent members of your local community. You're trying to protect it and help it grow, but also trying to protect and help your own standing in it grow. You've built a bit of a reputation as people who try to help out here and there, and you are known to each other for that reason. And it's that reputation that made your chief want to speak to you and send you out towards Bjorg's farm. She's a very good woman. She shares a lot of what she produces in her harvests with people around, and you all probably have a story about how she's helped you in some way, or she's just been kind of generally a good person. She's very competent as a farmer, but she's had a streak of bad luck, basically, which borders on the supernatural. Something must be going on, and whether she has been cursed, or whether you're just going to have to break the news that, hey, farming's a tough business and sometimes it doesn't all work out. You've been, as a collective, asked to travel towards her farm and speak to her, and that's where we're going to pick up our story. It's autumn. It's pretty cold when you're arriving, and you're walking towards this fairly large farm that, although it's big and surrounded by fields, it's pretty isolated, and there's a real prickliness to the air. You can almost feel the misfortune that has afflicted this place, not only because there's quite heavy storm clouds brewing in the distance just ahead of you. It's kind of a heaviness to the atmosphere. You can see a couple of shapes toiling in the fields up ahead. One of them, a rather big fellow, shields his face from the pale sun and, spotting you approach, nudges the second figure, who you'll soon find to be Bjorg, and he limps off behind the farmstead while she stands, waves and moves forward to greet you. You've traveled a day or two to get here, and as you're walking up towards Bjorg, I'd love to get a sense of everybody's character. Who are you? What do you look like? What is there to see? We'll start with the same order that we did for our player introductions, but yeah, Noura, could you tell us who you're playing?
I am playing a pre-generated character, which you could find in the book. Her name is Isgorthor Haldor's daughter. And there's a very nice artwork to accompany that. She is 20 years old, and she is described as having long matted hair and tiny ears. So we'll go with that. And she's her name Isgorthor means ice fortress, which I thought was really cool. And her nickname is Skull Splitter. And there's a really cool like you can roll to generate your nickname for your characters. There's a really cool nickname generator list in the book. So her nickname is Skull Splitter, which I'm super about, and her personality type is manipulative.
A manipulative skull splitter.
Yeah.
That's hell of an intro.
Is there any other kind?
That's the only kind I've ever encountered. So
Yeah.
Brilliant. Ashley May, what about you?
Yes, I am playing as Birna Flosadottir, whose name means female bear. And I'm just realizing she's 16, so she's just this gangly teen. I imagine she has this giant shock of red hair that is just like threatening to come loose out of the messy braids that they're in, just kind of like flowing in the wind. And she has a bow slung over her shoulder. And I think she's kind of looking around very eagerly, very excited to be wandering around and to be exploring. She finds a lot of joy in those things. So this is an opportunity that she's really taken in.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. We've got two characters. Let's jump across to Skid.
okay, I am playing Njal Thorlsson. His nickname is the Beardless, so it's clean shaven. And he is 22 years old, and he's gigantic. He's 6'5", like about 230 pounds. And he just got married. He has a beautiful wife named Hjördis Ólafsdóttir, daughter of the local Goti. He is fiercely loyal to her. He's very religious. He's a competent fisherman, makes a good living from his farm, and he is looking to make a name for himself, I think. There is a special place in the afterlife for Vikings who become notable. There are two sort of houses of the blessed who distinguish themselves on Earth, and there's the other one for like people who die of natural causes, and for those who don't distinguish themselves, it's basically hell. It's like a sort of purgatory. So he doesn't want to end up there. Can I give some context too? A little bit of context for where we are historically.
Sure. Specifically, we are in 977 year-wise. It would be autumn, and we are in a perfectly nondescript farm in Iceland. The only thing that is pointed is that we are by a stream and we are inland.
Perfect.
Yes, great.
Okay. So Iceland has been settled for about 100 years. And there was a massive famine in like 970 AD, which ended up sort of forcing settlement further west into like Newfoundland and Greenland and everything. But I imagine, that's not for a few years yet. So I imagine this is a time of relative hardship. I think that would probably be a little bit of context that would be important.
Well, that makes total sense. I mean, and it probably means that this farm would be all the more essential. You know, if you're not getting food from this is a time when a significant producer of, food is missing. It could mean people are literally going to starve. So that's another reason why it's so important for you to be able to do this. Let me ask you something then very quickly, just to feed onto that. How common is raiding at this period? Do you know anything about that? It may have some relevance later in the scenario.
Yeah, I think raiding is still happening, like at this point, down through but since there's been a lot of settlements in like the Danelaw, like in England, it's not as common as it was like 100 years before this. But it is still like, and certainly like Iceland is also like more settled. It's more sort of calm and peaceful. It's more like rule of law than it was in like Norway or other parts of Scandinavia. But yeah, there's definitely still raiding like going on. There's definitely would be raiders, yes.
Perfect, fantastic. That leaves us with London.
Tonight I will be portraying Sigmundur Gunnarsson. Now Sigmundur is about 5'6", 340 pounds, big back.
Hell
beautiful.
yeah.
Beautiful. One of the most beautiful men you have ever seen, and he knows it. If you get closer to him, he might take a step back because if you look, his jewelry is pretty cheap, but he wears it proudly. Sigmundur is a poet, and because of some of the things that Skid mentioned, the sort of climate around, people starving and the sort of downward turn of events as of late, Sigmundur doesn't want to be here. He has dreams of traveling abroad and becoming the court poet for some royal court or for some king somewhere. And so this specific mission is one step closer to gaining those stories, building those poems, and getting out of here. And as he looks around and feels this grim presence around him, he says, "Luck turned lame at twilight's call. Ghosts walked wide and milk went sour." And then his eyes cut up at his companions as he gives a, "How's that?" That's
great.
Sigmundur.
Well, I mean, your words.
But you're all
It's one. I mean, your words feel very apt here. They kind of sing across the empty air, and it's true. This is the kind of place that is probably best described with poetry. It seems bleak, and you've captured it pretty well. So we have our band of heroes then, all walking forward, and you arrive just shy of Bjorg, who greets you. She's standing at the edge of a vegetable field, fairly big, with all kinds of different crops, and it looks like it's been overtended at this point. You can see just out of the corner of your eyes that nowhere else is doing particularly well on the farm, and it really feels like all they have, so they're kind of really invested in making this one go well. So they've just have done everything they possibly can. She seems tired, stressed. She tries to give a smile, but you can see this kind of tension in her face. She knows that not only will this be bad for her and her family if she can't turn things around, but it could be bad for the entire community because there's not going to be enough food for people. So she nods and greets you warmly, says, "Thanks for coming. I appreciate how quickly you've arrived. I don't know what or why this misfortune has befallen us so quickly. It seems clear to me that the farm has been cursed, but I don't understand what could have caused it or why." She kind of massages at her temples a bit. It's clear to you all that there's a lot for her to say, and she doesn't really know where to begin. Are any of you sort of stepping forward to take the lead? I could imagine, London, that you might step forward, given that you seem to be particularly charismatic, or is this the kind of situation where the Skull Splitter might step forward and try and give an air of like, "Hey, don't worry, we have to be really serious about this"?
Sigmundur, he would step forward, I believe, unless Skull Splitter would like to, but he has something to say, as always.
Please do.
So-
I know that Isgartha really, her ears perk up when she hears curse. And so she's just kind of like taking it all in as Sigmundur, does his thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, yeah. Sigmundur steps forward and eyes the landscape once more and simply says, "Have you been mindful of your words? I fear that the words we speak have their own sort of magic and can signal bad times. in times like these, I pray. Pray for nature and prosperity. Anything to say to that?
She nods enthusiastically, completely agreeing with you. She says that she's been very careful and done her best to make sure that those in her household, hold true to decorum. She's offered sacrifices of goods to try and maintain the favor of the gods, and she, as far as she is aware, has done no wrong. You know her to be a relatively good person, so there's nothing immediately obvious that jumps out. But as you're talking to her, I'd like to just quickly get a little bit of sense of what the others are doing. We established that Isgatha, you're kind of keeping an eye on the whole place. Your ears have pricked up at the sound of a curse, potentially. You're trying to get a sense of what's around you. What about Berna and Nyal? What are the two of you looking at?
I think Berna is a kind of natural hunter, I think is kind of her thing. And so she's very much like watching the land and kind of looking at more the wind pattern. Has it picked up in more of a strong way? Is more like dirt picked up? Is it dustier? Like all of these kind of things, like kind of more environmental survival to kind of see if there's any inclination in that direction.
Okay, fantastic. And Nyal?
Jarl is out of his element when speaking to other human beings, I think. Like he's just sort of itching to use his muscles. So if failing that, like unless like some Irish monks come over a hillside and he has to take them on, he's going to look around for any kind of like grunt work that needs to be done. It's like, do you need any bales of hay toted from one barn to another or anything? I feel sort of useless here.
Totally reasonable and a good way to be kind of practical and lean into things like that. Let me move us across on a map for a second so that we can get a sense of what is around us. So I'm going to just put people across now, and you'll get a sense of Bjorg's farm as you look about the area. You can see around that the biggest site, there's this vegetable patch that you were standing by now. There is the house itself, and then further on there is a very large kale patch and then a barley patch off to a little to the west of the vegetable patch that you're near now. I'm going to ask people to make a couple of rolls just so we can get a sense of how skill checks and things like that work. I think that there's a couple that I might suggest, but I'll ask the collection of you first. Do you have something that you'd like to angle for in particular? Sigmunda, I think that, what's on your mind?
What's on my mind is maybe some sort of religious ritual or prayer of some sort, if I can do that to Freyr, in terms of, sort of appealing to the natural aspects of things here.
There's a worship skill, which could be totally appropriate for that. Now, that typically that sort of involves the full scope of worship, so you could do this as part of the larger ritual. But just sort of clasping hands with Bjorg and sort of let's pray together for a moment would be entirely in keeping. So I think making a worship roll would be pretty appropriate here.
Let's do it.
Okay, fantastic. Let's start off with that then.
All right. Roll. If I can get that to work.
You just need to click the percentage section and then hit roll down the bottom.
Gotcha. Sweet.
Okay, fantastic. So that is a result of 19. And what is your worship skill for that particular god?
25.
Okay, so it's not despite having spoken so poetically, you tend to direct your worship towards other gods primarily, but you're in the flow, everything's going well, and you go through like the sort of two prayers that you remember, and start like reciting them in detail. It seems to you that Bjorg is finding some comfort in all of this. She does seem to be relaxing somewhat. As you're glancing around as well, you can also see that you've got a strong voice, and I can imagine that there's sort of a sing-song aspect to the way that you speak. Like there's movement inside the house. There are other people about who seem to be listening. You can see like there's like a little curtain area where a young girl leans out the window and seems to be watching the collection of you. You can also see that larger figure who was helping out on the farm pauses in moving around some hay and things like that he's gone to attend to behind the turf house. Fantastic. Speaking then of hay moving heavy things, let's go to Nyal. I think if you're looking for something to do, a spot hidden makes pretty good sense to me. But if you have an alternate suggestion?
No, I think that was what I was going to suggest, is he's just going to, in lieu of any kind of physical work that he could do, he would just start like looking around the farm just to see if there's anything that stands out.
Fantastic.
Spot hidden.
One of your perception skills has a base of 25, so at the very least you'll be able to do something.
All right, I'm not great at this either. This is a 35 for me.
Hey, that's
66.
66. Okay, so look, glancing around, it really does seem that the farm is in a pretty heavy state of disrepair. You notice a couple of mice scurrying about. It seems that everything that can be done now has been pretty thoroughly done. There's one thing that catches your eye though, and I think that it's sort of all you could look at this point, which is why you don't really notice anything else. In the barley patch, there is this huge creature. It's an ox, a bull ox, but that hardly does it justice. It's one of the sort of largest animals you've seen, and it is prowling about, patrolling, basically herding all of the other oxen and like glaring out. It looks quite aggressive as it strolls through. You see that the barley field looks a bit untended. You wonder if maybe people aren't able to get close because that creature is currently just holding people at bay. If you're looking for someone to challenge your muscle against, that would be an idea.
Yeah.
But beyond that,
it's like go to the farmer. I turn to the farmer. It's just like, are you familiar with that ox?
Yes, that's Munch. He went, well, different. It's one of the many problems that he suddenly, his behavior changed and he herded up all the animals and now won't let anyone get close and won't let some of them leave. That's been one of the disasters. They haven't been able to get to the barley nor most of the cattle. If you could find a way to shake him out of it or well, we need to slaughter him, we need to slaughter him, but we can't continue like this, and we don't really, that's one of the reasons we were hoping that more experienced people like yourself would come to help us.
Yes, worry not. He pulls out his broadsword. He says, I will slay the creature. And he runs off. He runs off the barley patch.
Immediately bolting off towards the barley field. Perfect. We'll jump back to you in a second. First of all, let's go across to Berna and Isgatha. So, Berna, did you have an idea?
Yeah, so I just have this vision of her like bending down to like grab some like dead grass and is like grinding it and like putting it between her teeth and stuff, and she just sees Nyal like run across with the sword to go fight this, and she's just like, yes. I was kind of angling for survival check, maybe a little, to like look at environmental things.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. A survival check sounds totally fine. So go ahead and make one of those.
Ooh, and that is a success.
Okay, fantastic. Now, I've just noticed that we might have made a little error in the rolls beforehand, but we'll fix those up later. In the meantime, that is a success for here. And leaning through, you bend down and you start to go through the materials on the ground. You're taking a look. You have a pretty trained eye and you know what to be looking for. You've spotted the mice and your eyes have tracked a little better. You've spotted, first of all, that there's what looks like it might be the remnants of the kale in the kale patch that are moving around a little bit in the wind. No, that's not wind. That's more mice. A whole sea of them. It's not quite one of those massive blankets of writhing animals that you might see in a viral video, but it gets pretty close. There are way too many of these things, and they've invaded the kale patch, basically ripping the entire thing apart. That is not good. That's the kind of thing that can destroy an entire farm. Plagues of mice are no kind of fun. You can also see that storm that I mentioned as you were walking up, that's brewing. And as you eye the clouds, you wonder if there might be some lightning probably soon to come. And then with that in mind, your eyes flick across to what was formerly, you can see this on the map, what was formerly Bjork's pride and joy, the Red Currant Grove. Unfortunately, it has been struck by lightning and has been severely damaged. There's basically nothing of it left. In fact, it looks like lightning strikes have hit individual plants with an almost, vindictive targeting, leaning into the idea of the curse. These are all things that you notice, basically. The only other potentially interesting thing is that a lot of the damage seems worse the closer it is to the house from the kale patch. But that. Do you think you'd be going with Njal towards the oxen now, or?
I think looking at the storm, Berna's gonna say a quick prayer to Thor, and then go back to the others with a bit of quickness in her step to be like, I think we ought to get inside. That storm's rolling in awful quick.
Yeah. So you stepping close to Sigmundur then. We'll jump forward to that conversation in just a moment. But first of all, I want to jump across to Isgerthor. What role were you thinking in terms of trying to get a sense of the area from a more mystical perspective, I suppose?
Well, we see Isgerthor, and I would imagine there would be a quick flashback to where Niall and her are standing next to each other looking at the ox, and she goes, surely there's nobody with the strength to take on an ox like that. And then you see him charge.
Brilliant.
And then we see Berna with, and it is all kind of happening simultaneously. Mm-hmm. And then after, clearly after that, I think her attention would be drawn to the Red Currant Grove. And being a practitioner of magic, I think please tell me what would be better for her. It would be better for her to do a prophecy roll, or to do go under the cloak to try to get some guidance from her, maybe her spirit animal.
All of those are excellent options. I think that prophecy, would probably be looking for a grander scope direction, and might be something that is probably going to be improved by having a clearer sense of what's going on. If you have any information about this potential curse, you might be able to involve it in sort of the questions that you are posing of your god. So I think that going under the cloak, which is a fantastic skill and I love it, is a great option. So you might head off towards the Currant Grove, which is going to separate you from the rest of the group potentially for a minute, but that's fine because you probably want a bit of privacy for that. You need to be able to focus and meditate. So does that sound fine to you?
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Great. As you head across the Currant Grove, as I mentioned, it's blackened and pretty horrible. You've heard by reputation of Bjork's currants, red currants that she shares. They were grown from seeds brought in from Finland, and they're very, very prized possessions. And this lightning has just basically ravaged them. You find a little patch amongst the blasted earth and sit down, and you can lift your. Well, why don't you tell us what does it look like as you kind of go into this meditative state where you're going to be a little more open to everything?
I think she finds a little clearing, and she's wearing a little hooded garment, and she sits down so she can touch the earth, and she kind of pulls her hood over her head, closes her eyes, and has her hands on the ground. as she meditates.
Okay, fantastic. And in the silence, I'll ask you to make a roll. Fingers crossed.
That
Ooh.
is a failure.
Okay.
Oh no.
So what do you think it is that distracts you? And I love the idea that potentially it's the sounds of combat
Yes.
coming from.
I'm like so there.
Man
like,
on
all
cow
of a sudden,
combat is very distracting.
The wind kind of gets really still for a second, and I feel like I'm right about to like hit that sweet spot of meditation, and then it's just like and just like ramming sounds and and I'm sure maybe some and maybe some laughter in the distance from there, and I'm just completely distracted.
It's probably pretty funny.
That's great. So while you wait there, the conversation will continue for just a little bit. But before we resolve it, I'd like to jump back to Nyal for a second, just to get a sense of just how bold this 6'5" Titan is going to be. So you go striding straight across from the vegetable patch. You can see this like field of barley. And it's very obvious to you that this is an incredibly territorial bull ox. They are strong creatures. It will charge at not just people, but even other animals who attempt to get out. What's going through your head? What is it? Is it straight in? You've already got the sword out.
Yeah, I think he wants to it just seems like any chance that a Viking would get to die violently has to be embraced.
Okay.
So, yeah, because like it's just like if you die of old age, if you die of natural causes, you go to hell. So he doesn't want that. He obviously loves his wife. He would probably want to stay alive for a little while longer. But it's just like I want to prove myself to the god Freyr, and he sees this is a chance to be useful, to be valuable. And so, yeah, I think he wants to challenge this bull.
Great.
And yeah.
Now, so you go striding straight into the barley field then, I imagine, sort of pushing through. Immediately you become aware that the bull oxen is going to be aware of you and start heading towards you. Just so I know what's going through your head. And it's a fine answer to say he hasn't thought this far ahead. Is he thinking, is it just kill the thing? Or is it, if I can like wound it, it might shake it out of its, basically like sort of challenge it and get it to back down, and then the other cattle can scatter? How lethal are you going for here, basically?
I think he wants, I think he would, given us a chance to think about it, he would want to not kill it.
Yeah.
Because this is an incredibly valuable kind of creature. So, and it's not his, it doesn't belong to him.
Yeah.
So I think he would say, like, especially in times like these, he would be like, all right, I'll try to convince it to move elsewhere. It's like, get out of the barley field. The cattle don't belong in the barley field, so he wants to get it out of there. But he's completely willing to kill it if he has to. This is, and you have
been given the sort of implicit. Then might come to that side. Yeah. So there's no, you won't go fall afoul of any laws or anything like that. If
right, I don't have to stand before the all thing.
Exactly.
Defend my actions, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to be totally fine. So you go kind of blasting right in. We'll see how quickly the others follow behind you in just a moment.
They don't seem like they're following at all.
Yeah, so it might be a little. Well,
We thought you could handle it.
No, I don't expect you to. Like, this is insane what I'm doing. Like, of course, you guys are doing your own thing.
I would have seen this and gone over there because this is a story. This is something I can write a poem about. Cogs are turning. Like, you can hear the Yahtzee dice in Sigmunder's head if you stood too close to him of what he's seeing right now.
The ox is getting bigger and bigger by the second. Like,
exactly.
In the story.
This is a dragon.
Perfect.
This is not an ox.
Great. This is great saga fuel right here.
I learned magic because I lack the brute strength at my strength of 10 on this character sheet. So, but I'll watch and I'll support.
Once the yelling starts, you realize you're not going to be able to finish this meditation. You'll be heading straight across. Sigmunder, you're going to be heading straight across too. The conversation will wrap up pretty quickly then. I can really imagine you kind of rushing through the last beats of the prayer before heading straight off. Berna, sorry, my pronunciation going so terrible there, but you get a second with Bjorg, who says the storm. Yes, I don't think it will come in for another hour or so. I feel like if it strikes again after the lightning, I don't know, but maybe it'll hit the house at this point. I fear that it could be the final strike of the curse. So you have a sudden worry that you don't need to go and sprint in now. The storm clouds are rolling in, but yeah.
But also maybe the house isn't even safe.
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, great, all right. I'm gonna go help my friend fight a cow. And
you go following over to join as well. So all of you will sort of hover around the edge of the barley field and then go in. I imagine Sigmund is sort of pushing through the crops as you are much more in the center of everything. Now, I might ask you to make, I think an intimidate check works for me, because this is just what sense the beast is going to get of you.
Okay. So yeah, he's going to sort of like plant his feet in the barley field. It's like, hey, cow! And he's trying to get his attention.
Yeah.
This is like, don't you know you don't belong here? You should be eating fodder, not people food. You have angered the gods with your boldness. And I don't have a great intimidate, so we're gonna...
That's okay. That is almost better in this case.
Okay.
Can I sing and give him a bonus die or something?
Oh,
Is there any way
hey,
that I can
yeah.
help?
I love that. So what I think let's start by getting you hear the words coming, like echoing out over the field as the collection of you come close. Well, you did roll pretty. Sorry, I just seen your first roll there.
I got a 19.
You got a 19. Okay, fantastic. So you're pretty you're able to sound scary enough, and you can already hear the sort of verse coming together. What I'll ask you to do is, you've got a sing skill, Sigmundur. I'll just ask you to make a sing roll, and this is even in the point where, like, as the battle begins, if there's sort of like a chant going or something like that, it can apply all kinds of bonuses. So let's
This is so Viking. This is very Viking. The Skald, like, this is great. This is awesome.
Let's do it. What do we got? Oh, failure.
So what goes wrong? Do you see the large ox arrive and like falter for a second? Do you lose yourself in the barley? What do you think goes wrong?
I wish that's what's happened, but he starts to sing. He opens his mouth wide. Y'all met the ox with no beard to shield. Its horn split stone, and as his mouth hits its apex, a fly straight to the uvula. He sort of chokes and runs around, and that's what happens.
That's so perfect. I love it.
This place is cursed indeed.
Pestilence. So while you're desperately trying to stop choking, since you succeeded your intimidate check here, Niall, you rather than just sort of charge you immediately, the ox roams around a bit just to get a sense of you, and that gives the others a little bit more time to converge. So although you're at the front of everything, we're just going to involve everybody in the combat, because it's going to go to combat. This thing is not going to step down completely peacefully, as it will just involve everyone from the get-go. So how this is going to work is that there's like a section of furrowed ground where a lot of the crop has been flattened, and you found your way into the center of that, broadsword out, the rest of you forging forward or hanging back a bit trying to choke up a fly, and arriving, you see the ox come out at the other side. It paces back once or twice, and then after a bit of yelling back and forth and growling, snorting, you're not sure what's making more cattle-like noises, Njal or the ox, it tries a charge straight towards him. How we resolve this is we're going to basically everyone's going to give me a statement of what their goal to do is, and then we're going to work out everyone's dex rank, and that is the order that we resolve the actions that are to come in. Anything that you want to do basically is going to just lower your dex rank a little bit. So if you have about 10 things that you want to get done in your turn, that's going to make you act much slower. If you give enough things, it will mean that you only get to act in the next turn, basically. So let's start off with statements of intention. What does everyone want to get done? You've got the sort of the lie of the land. There is a big, heavy, angry ox. It doesn't quite have blood red eyes or anything like that, but it's a huge ball of muscle that is upset. Niall, you're closest. Oh, sorry.
Is there any way that I can make an appeal to Freyr
Absolutely.
before this happens?
Yes.
I think it's like, as a god of fertility and farming and warfare, it seems like it would be appropriate.
Totally, for sure. So what how we would do that is that you can augment your skills, basically. You can use your passions, like your devotion to certain gods, to give yourself a bonus to the rolls that you want to make. So we'll assume that you are going to try and augment another skill with your worship, but that's an innate quality at this point. So you make an appeal, and then what is it that you will be immediately trying to do? Are you going to meet the creature in charge? Are you going to dive out of the way?
I want to sort of do a matador kind of step aside at the last minute and swing with the broadsword.
Okay, that makes perfect sense to me. So you're not moving much, and the act of just sort of getting this these extra bonus points is not going to add much to your dex rank. So that works perfectly. Berna, did you have an idea?
Yes. I think Berna is probably the furthest, the last one to kind of come running a bit. And I think seeing all of this happen and seeing it start to charge, she just kind of plants where she is and pulls out her bow because she's better from range anyway. And she's going to aim specifically for like the front knee so that it kind of falters and goes down in the front, kind of like taking the tire out of a car.
Yeah, shoot out the tires.
Total sense. Yep, love it. Okay, and what about our other two? What is your intention for this first combat round?
I'm pretty much going to I won't go towards it, but will ready myself if it does come towards me. I will have my quarterstaff ready to just whack it.
Yep.
Away.
That's totally.
Dodge. Yeah.
Yeah, totally good. You're pretty sure that you're going to be secure at least at this point. So you get ready, you heft your quarterstaff. It's sort of at the standing by should you need it.
Yeah, but I'm not running towards danger. Like I'm where I am.
That is a deeply sensible thing, and sensibleness is tantamount to magic in sometimes. So very good.
You're way smarter than I am, for example. That's
last but not least, Sigmundur.
Yeah, let's do a happy medium between the two. Sigmunder's going to look at Isgarthor and go, "Aha! Indeed. Splinters of wisdom sometimes hurt the most," as he pulls out his quarterstaff, and on the staff is written sort of runic wisdom as he bears it facing towards the bull. As he tries to get in between, I guess, where Niall and Isgarthor is, he's also not charging in, but if the bull comes his direction, he's going to try to whack it across the side of the head in hopes of knocking it out, hopefully.
Okay, no, that works.
Sweet tunes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
If TikTok is any indication, cows love music. I've seen there's a bunch of videos of people like playing banjos for cows, and they love it.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My For You page is gonna look so different after this.
Yeah, no, please. It's amazing. That's great. There's one guy who just like sings to cows. It's awesome. It's the best.
Yep, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Sigmundur is whistling
I love
while this
cows.
happens.
Absolutely perfect. Okay, so I've run sort of just what the basic dex ranks are going to be, and this is also informed by what your character's default dexterity is. Bernard, you are very, very, very fast. You have a dexterity base of 16, which is really high. So even though you sort of like have to hustle forward jump down onto one knee, get your bow ready, and fire. You are going to be the one who goes first. So what I would like you to do is to make a combat roll, and you should be able to see that in the combat section of your sheet, rather.
With my bow?
Yes, that is correct.
Sick. A 90.
Oh no.
Okay.
No, I got an 87, but it's out of 90.
An 87.
Oh, amazing.
You are a extremely good archer. So what does this look like in terms of like style wise? You're practiced at this.
I think it's all one fluid motion. Like she's coming, running, she's seeing the others square up with their quarterstaff. She realizes she's not gonna like close the distance in time, and so she pulls the bow off her back as she's kind of skidding to a stop, like on her knee, and like just as she comes to a stop is when she like fully knocks and releases. So it's all into this motion, and it just goes through like all this like hail and everything, and just like whistling into this poor knee of this poor...
I know. I feel bad. I don't want to.
I do too.
Hey,
we just talked about how cute they were.
And clearly, it's a curse. You're just shaking it loose.
Yeah.
It's very sick, and this is what the doctor would want.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's right.
So this happens before it crosses the distance, getting towards Nyal. So what I'm going to get you to do next usually is we would roll a hit location. I'm just going to do that for you, where I will be rolling for it because I have its hit locations up here. So I'm just going to roll a d20 very quickly, and we're going to see where your arrow hits. So
This is cool.
The most humanoid creatures have the same like chart where if you roll certain numbers, it's all going to hit the same area. But obviously, animals are a little bit different. So as we now roll this,
By the way, I love combat systems that have hit location mechanics.
Yes,
I love that.
I love
I'm
it.
such a big fan of that. So
It's
Like
such a good level of
Quest has
detail.
I love it.
it's a lot of fun. Now, technically, what I just realized I should have done is you were aiming for a specific area. So I should have gotten you to do a called shot, things like that. But that actually it really works because you rolled a 4, which is its left hind leg. So you take out
great.
yeah,
Of course.
just sort of perfectly. You end
The
up
Norns predicted this.
Yeah.
absolutely. This thing has a pretty thick hide, which acts as armor for it. But you've done a damn good hit. You can see the default roll dice icon just down there, right? I would like you to roll a d6 if that's possible. It should just be at the bottom left of your screen. Okay, fantastic. Ooh, that is less good. So you fire this glorious arrow, and it hits, and you were being too like gingerly in the way that you aimed it, and it slams in and just doesn't seem to really slow the creature at all. Functionally, it has 2 armor. You deal a d6 plus 1 for this bow shot, and upon striking, no dice. It doesn't make any major impact here, which means that we're going to go across to Nyal here.
Okay.
So what I think happens is you kind of go to you're going to step aside from this thing, and you were going to try and chop down on it. That's a given. And I think that since you have all of the preparation in your favor, you're going to go first, but we'll see whether it then slams its head sideways and catches you on the flip side of the charge. So as the creature approaches, I'll get you to make a weapon check, and you've got your broadsword out. So
Got my broadsword.
And also
down.
we need to do your augmentation first. I'm so sorry. How this works is calling on your faith in your god. You are going to make a worship check, and if you succeed, you are going to be able to boost your score, and that's going to last for the duration of combat. If you fail, you can potentially reduce your score. Basically, things aren't going well, they're not landing in your favor, and that's that.
Okay. So come, Freyr. Strengthen my arm, speed my blade. I will bring you a sacrifice this day.
And fingers crossed, Is that a one? Oh, sorry, I'm
One,
seeing
yes.
2 rolls.
Well, I clicked
the
twice,
first one.
but
I will
they're both
honor the
successes.
first one. When you get a crit like that, you've got to honor the first one, surely.
Rhaegar loves me.
Amazing.
Yes, it's
Oh,
true.
man. That is fantastic. So on a critical for augmenting like that, you add plus 50 to your skill that you are augmenting. So you are completely filled with glory. What will that equal to your
Let's
broadsword
go.
skill then if you add plus 50?
If I add 50, that'll bring me up to 135% chance.
That is absolutely fantastic. So how that works when you have a skill in excess of 135, first of all, in any other circumstance, that could mean you could start dual wielding, which is pretty cool. But
that would be
you haven't-
awesome.
You haven't really prepared for that yet. So instead, how this works is that you maintain the same chance to hit, which is a D100. So you can still fumble. And that gets, that's bad. Something went terribly wrong. You can never really get yourself out of the possibility of something being catastrophically bad. But what happens is that the 35 in excess actually comes off the combat score of your opponent. So its ability to gore you gets reduced massively, which means that you
amazing.
keep slamming it down. So let's get you to make the check. And although you're gonna, actually, no, you can use Quest Portal to apply the bonus, so you should be able to actually just have a plus 50 onto that as you set up the.
Okay. Do I edit modifier? Is that what it is?
No, so when you press it, it should bring up a little pop-up window, and you should have a drop-down option where you can select to add a modifier of a certain amount.
Okay, let me press it.
No, that's just come through. That's totally fine. We will just calculate it through manually. So, with a score, so 16, obviously. 16 would have been that's a special success, which is absolutely fantastic. My God, this poor freaking thing. I'm gonna just.
It shouldn't have been in the barley. Like, that's its fault.
Yeah, he was acting like a jerk.
Teaching
Come on, man.
Only crime.
There's a famine going on, people. That we can't let the cows run wild. They have to.
No, it would just be completely inappropriate. So it for what it's worth is going to try and parry your attack, which it basically just slams at you with its horns. It's not a particularly it's not a particularly skilled combatant here, but it does its best. I'm just going to add its modifier here, which is going to be a negative 35, I think was the amount that you're in excess. Your final was 135. So it takes negative 35 to its skill of 40 for its horns, which is spectacular. My God. And as it comes through, it would have failed anyway. So this is just you strike down and slam your sword into this creature. Would you like to roll a d20 for the hit location? Or would you like me to?
Yeah. Can I roll a d20?
Yeah, go ahead.
Like a manual d20? Or
So we'll just get you to use Quest Portal just so everyone can see it. But if the bottom left of the screen is where the button is, I can just jump into it if you can't spot it right away.
I don't see it.
I got it. All right. So d20 rolling. And the result is a 17, which on this creature is its head. So you step aside and you slam down, and the result of a special attack against a failed parry is that you are going to roll your special damage, which is in excess. Let me just get up what that amount is. But yeah, you hit this thing extremely hard. What is the default damage of your broadsword?
The broadsword default damage is 1d6 plus 1d2.
1d6 plus 1d2. Okay. Fantastic. So I'm just going to check the stats for it. One moment, because every type of weapon has a different type of damage that it can deal depending on whether it's an impaling weapon or a slashing weapon or a crushing weapon. I believe that this is a slashing weapon, given that it is a sword, which means that your special damage is that going through. One moment as I look. I'm so sorry for the pause. It is going to be the full damage plus 2 rolls, I think. I'm so sorry. This is the one part I didn't know, which I should have
Okay.
had. I'll tell you what. Roll your default damage at first, because that honestly might be enough to just kill it outright, and I'll get the special damage details in addition.
Okay. Hello? Nothing seems to be happening.
Nothing's come through. That's quite all right. In which case, you've got what did you say the default roll was? Because I'll just throw those through for you now.
1d6 plus 1d2.
Okay, 1d6 plus 1d2. Let me start off with that. So we've got a d6 coming through. 5 already, which is going to... So wounds to your head are particularly bad. And I'm just going to roll a d4 as a d2 at this stage. Coming out with a 2, so that'll be a total of 6, slamming down at this thing's head. It has 2 armor on most of its body, but its head actually has a little bit of extra armor because of the
skull.
So as you come down and slam into this thing, its horns take quite a bit of the hit, but your special damage, which I'm still confirming, is going to do a huge amount extra to it. I don't think, though, it's going to be enough to take it down. So while I confirm what the mass of your extra damage is, this thing kind of rears back, and it will definitely be enough to have it sent skidding off through the barley. There's a huge gout of blood that comes out the side of its face as it goes weaving this way and that. You stand god of the battlefield for a second with the fury of your worship. And this wounded thing, now kind of bleeding pretty severely, comes towards the two of you with your quarterstaves at the ready. I'm correct in that you two don't want to sort of rush in and smack it right away. You're holding back a little bit.
Yeah, I think if I would wait until it was directly a threat to me.
Okay, fantastic. In which case, we'll just end that combat round, and I'll get statements of intention for everyone else at the top of the next one. It's hurt, but it's not down. You could try and scare it at this point, and with some blood just pouring down the side of its face, it's probably much more receptive to being convinced to, step aside. Otherwise, you could try and, it's like a Pokemon. You hit it enough, and it makes it more receptive to being caught or something like that.
Gotta catch them all.
Yeah. So what's everyone's rough intention? Now, again, it's hard to say exactly when it's going to just die, but you need to kind of decide when you want to go for that hit. What's everyone's rough intention?
Do I get that bonus for my prayer for the entire combat, or was it
Yes, that is going to be hanging around.
Okay, so my intention is to drop my broadsword, pull out my spear, and charge it.
Okay, fantastic. Sorry, I should specify your bonus is to your broadsword. I'm so sorry, because that is what.
Oh, okay.
That's what you've given your bonus to. So if you swap weapons, you are going to be using something else. But
I would lose the bonus.
Totally functional here.
Okay, so I'm just going to charge with the broadsword.
Okay, perfect. The slashing damages you're going to be rolling twice. You are going to add the extra. So your default roll was d6 plus 2. So I'm just going to add that extra damage, and we're going to see how much extra you did. Rolling first a d6 and then the 2 for there. Result of 5 and 4. So that is another 5 points of damage, and halved the 4 to a 2, which is going to be 7 on top of the 6 that you already did for a final of 13. Unfortunately, this thing has 5 points of bloody armor on its head, so it takes out a huge chunk of that blow, but you really smack it down hard. It's bleeding, but it's wounded quite badly.
Okay.
So you're going to be charging in with your broadsword. What about everybody else?
I'm going to begin to sing as I still walk. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to begin to sing as I still have my quarterstaff, getting a little closer. If I'm within staff's reach of it, I will take a swing. But other than that, I'm singing to it in order to. So this is sort of like a deep bullish dirge I am singing in order to scare it into either dying or running away.
Okay, fantastic. I can imagine that providing more bonuses. So you begin to sing again, kind of just through gritted teeth, so you don't let any more flies into your mouth.
Indeed.
Yeah. And the other two?
I would come in closer, maybe around the same as Sigmundur, maybe slightly forming an enclosure at this point, like maybe he has nowhere to go. And then if he would be coming my way, I would attack.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. So you're holding back at this point. If it tries to attack you, you're going to strike back out.
But I'm closing the distance in.
Yeah, you are totally able to move in close. And Berna.
So it's wounded on the head already. How deep is that wound? Does it look like?
It's heavy, but so how these things work is that you want to be, so each hit location has health, and when you exceed the health of the hit location, you get additional special effects. You have not exceeded the health of its head. It has a chunky head. So at this stage, yeah, you're defending pretty well.
Okay, got it. And the called shot mechanic, as you mentioned it, if I want to shoot somewhere very specific, does it change the difficulty?
Yes, it will. It's going to make things. It's going to make things tougher. Basically, shooting into kind of a mess like this gets a bit risky of hitting other people. So basically, what you do is you roll. If you roll between. You have an adjustment value which you lower your score by, and if your roll is within the adjustment value, so that is to say there's like a normal chance of hit, and now there's the kind of new buffer zone. If you hit that buffer zone, you're going to randomly determine who you hit in the melee. And considering there's now quite a few people in this, your window of targets is shrinking, unfortunately.
Yes, I think seeing this and seeing that this trap is being laid, I think instead I want to shoot like a diversion arrow to make sure that that it's running in the path that they're kind of laying for it. So in case it's going to deviate in any way, I'm going to shoot just to the side of it to scare it back onto the path to where they're waiting to receive it. That
makes total sense for me. Yeah, so at this point though, you can definitely be, sort of like, you're basically shepherding it. You're acting in concert with all of the others that are trying to get this thing to be scared off. I think that considering that Nyal, you're trying to hit it again, and everyone else is trying to sort of support it getting scared down. I think that of the other three, I will ask one of you to make an intimidate check here, and this is breaking this thing's spirit at this point. Which of you has the best intimidate, do you think?
Not me.
No? Okay. So
mine's a 20.
You'll have a high communication skill by base, which means that you'll get a couple of bonuses, but it might not be huge all the same.
I don't think anyone really.
No, not your area of expertise. No. That's totally fine.
No.
Which means this thing is just kind of unlikely to be directly kowtowed, no pun intended. But I'll still get you to roll here. Sigmundur, you're singing at it in a bellow. I think that we'll just get you to make that roll now, so we can get a sense of where the encounter is going to go.
Okay, with the singing, let's do that. Roll. What do we got?
Oh. Just one off.
Failed by 1 point.
By one. Now that said, you potentially could have applied some bonuses from the other two. So let's get a bow shot from you, and I'm stretching the mechanics a bit here, but we'll get a bow shot from you.
Yes.
Check my bloody name notes. Berna to try and scare the thing off. Basically, add a little bit of bonus, which succeeds. You've got a 90, so just as well. And you're kind of held in, held in preparation is Gutha. do you have something that you'd like to argue to roll here, or do you want to just kind of hold your turn as a backup to be able to jump in and swing? We'll tell you what. We'll hold it in a backup for a second, and we'll continue with Nyal then and see. It's going to be kowtowed more than likely, but let's see what comes in with this last hit, because as it sort of shrinks down, you do sprint in, sword held overhead, and swing down. I will get it to make. I think it's probably going to dodge here more than likely. I'll get you to make your broadsword check again, though.
Okay, here we go. Oh, okay, that's still a success.
It's still a success, and it's not spectacular. What am I talking about? It's possessed. It's going to try and parry again with its dreadful score, given that you are going to be reducing it by a huge amount. Let me just make that roll.
35.
Coming through. No dice. So as you slam down, I'm going to roll a d20 for your hit location.
Oh, I found the die thing. I can roll.
Oh yeah, please go ahead. You make the roll.
Okay. All right. 5.
5. Okay, a location of result of 5 is the left leg. So this is the same area that was struck
by the arrow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Technically, it's hindquarters, but it's close enough to. We'll get you to roll your damage. This is going to be just a standard success, so it's just your regular 1d6 plus 2.
Okay, let me just roll. Yeah, roll a d6. Yes, 5. And then, okay, so 6 total, right?
6 total. Fantastic. I mean, that chews through the armor. You've already slammed into its head massively. Blood's pouring down the side of its face.
Jarl is consumed by bloodlust at this point.
Well,
he's lost all sense of time and place.
You might say, you slash down on his leg, its back leg gives way. It gives this great howl, and whatever fury is sort of behind its eyes starts to fade out. It sinks down. Its legs buckle somewhat as it glances towards the ground. You can tell that this thing is being kowtowed. Some of the other animals probably are already going to start darting out of the field as soon as they get a shot. But it's effectively yielded. Nyal, would you keep hitting it? I mean, I completely leave it over to you as you sort of drift out of combat. Strictly.
I almost want to roll like some kind of a save or something to see if I can pull myself out of this berserker rage.
Fantastic. Well, you could make. I mean, a nice default one might be for you to make a power roll, and this is so we do it power times your characteristic. You're pretty sensible, but you're also not sort of a pacifist, so it's not particularly easy. I think that the standard difficulty of power times 4 might be sensible. So that would be, your power is 11, so that would be 44 would be your target.
Okay, all right, let me just roll a D100. Okay, and I fail, so I think I keep attacking it.
Okay, you strike down again. I think that it's in the interest of not pondering the slaughter of the animal, I'll sort of
we don't have to go
narrative
blow by blow through this like horrific act.
Why don't you describe sort of in Vale what happens here?
Okay, so sort of flooded with this religious fervor of the violence. He's hacking at the neck of this creature like he's in Apocalypse Now. And once it's like severed and like dead and like the blood is flowing, he dips his hands into the blood and starts rubbing it all over his body. So it's like, yes, this is a sacrifice to you, Freyr, much as Hakon the Good did in the Chronicle. This is Alpha Tushi. It's like what this Muslim chronicler who like talked about something exactly like this. He just rubs the blood like all over his body. It's like giving this life up to his god Freyr.
Sigmund, you're chronicling this. Do you maintain the song as it starts to get a little dark, or what happens here?
I feel terrible about this, by the way. Skid feels horrible about this. Nyal loves this. Just saying.
Sigmunder would take anything. So even as it gets darker, he is taking that in. He's still singing with his teeth closed, so that's why he still failed again. So you're not really clear at the moment. But there is a curious look in his eye. He's curious and doesn't shy away from these things. And the saga of Niall, it's still building in his head. And of course, the other three of us, we have bigger parts in the saga than in real life. But still, it's happening, and he's leaning into it.
Fantastic.
Iska Thor, she's very much like full of herself, is like, yes, I did this. Like the manipulation tactic. She's like, yes, well
Just step
done.
this off. Yep.
Nicely done.
And
manipulated events.
I think I finally come running up to where the rest of you are taking me this whole.
you can see the shadow over the hill of Bjorg kind of like drifting back a bit. There's enough barley around that you probably can't see the details, but she has seen the other cattle starting to move out and heard enough yelling. She's probably put two and two together. You might want to clean Jarl up a little bit before you go back and try and talk to her in detail.
Yeah, it's like, oh, so I got a little carried away there. Sorry. With
the body of the beast now lying in the barley field, the other cattle will scatter. That's one problem, not necessarily resolved. There is a dead ox, but changed. You were sort of imbued by worship, and you're pretty sensitive to these things. Isgotho, you can feel the presence of the kind of ongoing force of the gods looking at this area. You still know that there will be more to this curse. You haven't resolved it. You still need to find out why and how it was placed. But as the beast dies, you're pretty sure that the barley patch, at the very least, is, for want of a better word, exorcised. You feel no intense sort of presence of dark forces here for the time being.
Yeah. This will be a great chapter in the saga. They liberated the barley.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be a more creative title. So,
Sigmunder loves barley, by the way, usually in drink form, but
So the currant grove and the kale patch are the two elements of the farm that still remain. Otherwise, you could go into the turf house itself and start to try and speak to any of the residents there. That storm is still brewing, and it's getting in faster. At least the rain will wash away all of the blood. Where to next? What's the plan?
I think Berna just kind of grabs Niall's arm, sleeve a little bit, tugging at it, and then kind of like shirking away at the blood. Right, if you've got more of that in your system, there's a whole nest of rats over in the kale.
Oh, rats.
I'm sure nobody could take on a nest of rats.
We must be first level. I'll go take care of the rats. Yes.
Niall goes staggering off, dripping with blood along the pathway. The rest of you decide to follow on, or is there more detailed investigation you'd like to leap into?
I kind of want to check out more of the red currant grove, like to see maybe if there's just like investigate.
Sure. Yeah. No, that makes.
That
total
seems
sense.
like the weirdest thing happening right now.
It's definitely
red currant grove.
It's definitely the weirdest part of it. And you've exhausted maybe some of the magical means, but you have not exhausted the mundane means of going about this. What about the so you succeeded at a survival check pretty well earlier, Berna. You know that Niall could spend months here killing mice, and there would still be mice. We don't have to roll out combat because he kills some mice. Oh wow, it's great, but there's more of them, and they just keep coming.
That was more to kind of like get him like to burn off any of like the remaining.
Burn off the remaining berserker fury. Yeah.
Because I think Berna's gonna kind of like go to the other two and below her breath a bit. I'm worried about this storm coming in. there's unnatural things happening, obviously, but I don't think we're safe.
I believe
And,
we're
like,
under a time crunch here.
realizes, oh my god, could I be in danger? Oh, now I don't like this.
I didn't know I'd be
Yes.
threatened.
I didn't know I could be in danger. Well, now what do we do?
The greatest stories come out of danger. Because we're in danger, we know that we can rise above it and be the heroes.
Oh, see, I do like that part.
Great,
Indeed.
someone has to survive to tell the story, at least.
I
Now I'm
volunteer
worried.
to survive.
Right, you see what I'm saying? There's problems.
I would like. Does it strike anyone else as odd that there's just very specifically targeted lightning strikes that are hitting this prestigious red currant grove?
That's very strange. Jarl shouts out from the mice
Tail
patch
patch, yeah, a mouse in it.
Rats fly.
over the sound of crunching mice.
I might assume then that the three of you in this conversation have sort of left Nyal to work out his unresolved aggression, and have drifted towards the current grove. And I'll get Isgutha, you wanted to sort of take a look at the place again in more detail.
Yeah.
I think a survival or a spot hidden roll is what I'm going to be looking for here.
I mean, I love Cthulhu. I love a spot hidden.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Where is? Although I
That's
should
one of
probably
the
see.
seven
Oh,
skills.
okay, a 60 spot hidden is not bad. Let me try that.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
41 under
Nice.
60 success.
So, as the three of you are wandering through there, then going back and forth, it is suspicious. And examining these strikes carefully, you do notice that it's oddly targeted, and that makes you lean down and look at each of them a little more. And right in the center of the grove, you find one of these particularly large former shrubs, and you can see that there is disturbed earth underneath that has not been blasted by the impact of the lightning in the same way that you would expect everything else to be. In fact, it looks like there's something just under the layer of dirt at the top. You start brushing away some of the soil, and you can see that there is a tough kind of tanned skin bag, the kind of thing that would have been around in the turf house, that like a backpack sort of thing, that has been buried and sealed up tight.
Well.
Wow.
What have we here? And can I just
Yeah.
like that
Careful.
might be witchcraft.
It's good to check. So you open it up carefully. Inside, there are a couple of sets of poorly folded clothes, like a sort of boots and stuff, and then there is a long object wrapped in cloth. When you take it and start to undo it, you see that it looks like it's a sword. It's old, made of iron that has dulled with age. And as you draw the cloth away, you can see it is covered in runes. And all of you feel this wash of like bad vibes coming off this thing in a pretty acute way.
Oh no, I might have done something.
Put it back. Just put it back.
Run!
I mean, to be fair, bad things are already happening. So
Right.
maybe what now I'm trying to see, like, would I have a knowledge of what these runes are? Where would I look to see?
Absolutely.
Great question.
So there are. So first of all, there's some passing information that you would be able to see. There's runes to Tyr and Hagal, I believe would be the pronunciation. Skid, I might ask you to jump in here if you can correct me on those two. But these are two Norse deities, so that is just like a nominal thing first of all. But more importantly, I'm just going to take a quick look. I think that this would be the domain of rune magic to get some detailed information about it. You could possibly try a customs Norse roll at this point, which I believe you have 30 points in. But unless anybody has rune magic specifically, which I don't think you do, you're not going to get anything beyond, like, it's a warrior's weapon, and there's nicks and scratches along the blade that suggests that.
I will say,
Anyone
just
like to take a look at this?
generally, that one of the things, like the dead were able to take some of their possessions into the afterlife. Whatever they're buried with, they could take like some of their stuff, like, so that's why they're buried with like their weapons and armor. But another way that they could bring things into the afterlife was anything that they buried themselves during when they were alive. I don't know if this has anything to do with that, but that was a practice. So I don't know.
Do you know, like, if it's removed, if it will be removed from their realm as well?
That I don't know. That I don't know. As far as like the legends, like if the magic were real, I have no idea.
You would all be aware though, as characters, that if this has come from a tomb, that's grave robbing. It's very bad.
That's pretty bad.
Would want that back. And like with that thought in your head, if you were trying to figure out where a sword like this might have come from, a grave is probably a pretty good guess.
Yeah, I have no intentions of taking this thing, but I might as well do a customs Norse roll, and then if I can't figure something out, I very offer it, like openly offer it to anybody who would like to take a look. But upon looking at it real quick, I rolled a 7 under 35, which is a special success.
Special success.
So glancing at it, you immediately recognize a couple of things. First of all, you've got some kind of magical education. The way that these runes are set out, although you are not a rune expert, you know that this is magical. You know that this is powerful, and you know that this is an ancient warrior's sword. We said that at the start that this is the time that raiding has become a little bit less common, maybe. This is from the time when it was at its peak. This is going to be a hero's sword of some capacity. And you can even see it probably has some markings along it, which means that it has been prepared for burial alongside somebody. There's like little bits that mark that it is to be taken across, and it is clearly not with a body, so this is a bad vibe. This is, and with a special success, this is exactly the kind of thing that would like carry curses with it. The weapon itself is probably, the wielder would probably be cursed, but also this is the kind of thing where the dead get very angry and might have a tendency to come back and get their stuff. If you were to follow the legends, that would be something you'd be quite worried about.
I immediately drop it as I get this very bad feeling. Now, do I get the sense that somebody had robbed this and buried it here? Like, that's why there's bad vibes, or does this seem like this doesn't seem like the gravesite itself? This is a recent bag. The clothes are neat and new. The sword is old. This does not look like it is buried where it should be. You don't think you have disturbed a burial ground or anything like that. You think you've found an item that has been buried, which was taken from a burial ground.
So somebody took this cursed item and deliberately buried it here to curse the surrounding area.
To curse the land.
That's a pretty sensible inference. Yeah. You would feel safe in saying, why is the farm cursed? Well, it's because there's a sword buried here. As to why the sword is buried there, that's technically still an open question.
Okay. Yeah. Are they men's clothes, women's clothes?
They are men's clothes, but you've come back from the field right now, and
Yeah, I come running over,
yourself.
boots covered with fur and blood, and yeah, I was just like, I'm very curious because it says specifically on my character sheet that I have ill-fitting clothes, so I'm always on the lookout for clothes that might fit me better.
Yeah, they are way too small for you. They would be too full. They are men's clothes, but they would be too small for either you or for Sigmundur. They would also be. I think it's safe to say they'd be too small for most men.
Okay.
Neil, I don't think you want to anything to do with anything that's in this bag.
No, that sword.
Clearly the
There
curse
is a. I can feel it. It is not right.
If this land is cursed, this would be the thing. This would be the origin. It's clearly not buried in its right spot. Somebody must have.
How do we
taken
find
it.
out where it goes? Where did it come from?
Yeah, is there a name on it besides like
Any
the
inscriptions?
names of the
anything I
gods?
Yeah, you got a special success. I think that you would be able to look through it, and you would be able to find a name kind of carved into the amongst the runes, saying that it is from Irikur. Eric Ur. It's just this is not a particularly, like, you don't go, oh, the ancient king or something like that, but this is presumably a raider or a warrior, someone of some renown from quite some time.
From the old country, probably from the old country, I would assume.
Quite possibly, yes.
From Scania.
So
Dare steal the sword of a great warrior and curse this land.
Ought to belong here. Perhaps we should go and question the farmer to see if these clothes or this bag is familiar to her.
Yes. If they've seen it, that will tell us a lot, or at least a little more.
So, cleaned up of the worst of the gore then, and with the bag in tow, the collection of you head back up towards the farmhouse itself. You can see a few more people moving around at this stage, and you've got a sense of you're pretty sure you've seen everyone. To be clear, there is Bjorg, the farmer herself, who is still bustling around the fields. You briefly saw that she has a daughter of about 14 years old who popped out at one point. At this stage, everyone is pretty much preparing for the storm. You can see that Bjorg also has a husband, a guy who is constantly walking around holding a small child of maybe like 2 or 3, and sort of like bringing them around with him as he prepares. There's a farmhand there. This is the guy who you saw right at the start, who motioned to Bjorg, who has a limp. He's quite a big guy, and there is a young man, probably about 15 as well, another child who is helping about. That's everyone you notice moving about. Do you want to just go straight to Bjorg and present the bag and say, whose is this kind of thing? Or do you have a more subtle angle?
I mean, looking around at the statures of the people here, does anyone look like they vaguely fit the size of the clothing?
It would have to be one of the 2 children. A stretch, maybe Bjorg's husband could fit into it, but the farmhand who, were you to jump to conclusions, it does look a little rough. You can notice maybe a few scars on their hands and things like that. Is more like your dimensions.
He's more like me.
There's no way.
Okay. Is he a freeman? Is he an enslaved person? Do we know that?
No, he's a farmhand who seems to live here. If you pry in, like, you haven't really asked. He does seem a bit standoffish, but
That's kind of rude.
I mean, yeah, you are also someone who you expressed you are not comfortable talking to people.
Yeah,
So
I wouldn't say anything.
Ask delicately, although Sigmundur or either of the others might.
It'd be a mouthpiece, depending on how we want to go about this.
Now, definitely Isguther as well. This is a powerful kind of like artifact. You could reattempt your under the cloak check if you would like to, potentially, to try and get some more information here if you don't want to go through the social angle. But a lot of the things are now starting to make sense in terms of like what's happening around here.
Okay. Well, I could do the under the cloak again. She's also very charming.
Yeah.
So she could maybe try to talk somebody up, but that doesn't necessarily mean they'll be telling her the truth. They'll just mean they'll want to talk back to her.
Yeah.
Let's do. I would like to try an under the cloak. I'm so fascinated by this mechanic, so I would like to attempt that again.
Yeah, and you got interrupted before, so get another chance. Like, that'd be awesome. That sounds awesome.
Do you want to go back to the current grove? I mean, that was probably where there's the most like
energy.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, I would like to go back to where we'd found it, the bag.
Okay. So meanwhile, the other three of you, it's safe to say you're going to try and chat to people.
Yes, and I'll sort of like start off, if that's cool with everybody, just to, is there a way to like diffuse any like possible tension at first? I would like to maybe just start singing like a little poem about our barley field adventures, just to sort of get people a little calm, a little. I'm not sure if that'll calm them down, but
Yeah.
sort
Well,
of, you know.
let's
charm
see.
them a bit. I want to use charm.
Let's see.
Yeah.
You want to use charm? Did you say rather? Did you want to use sing first? Were you, or are you just sort of like you're just that's more in flavor? You're just kind of like it's how you sing constantly rather than you're trying to make a deliberate sing check to improve the situation.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. That. And they're both the same. Both at 60.
Okay. Well,
percentile, so.
let's yeah. So who are you targeting more or less? Like who's you're kind of just chatting with people more generally, but who are you going to make the approach to try and get into a conversation with? Otherwise, you just get general information about everyone.
Yeah, the person who was looking pretty standoffish.
Sure, this bigger fellow. Yeah. All right.
Indeed.
Okay. Yeah. Make a charm check.
I passed something. Success. 31
Okay.
versus
Nice.
60.
Yes.
Very good. So you kind of have you have a pretty relaxed way about you, and it's more just like by not responding to this guy's standoffishness. Really, you sort of just find yourself ingrained alongside him after a bit, and before long, he asks you a little bit about what happened in the field. You're able to relate the stories. He seems. You go to talk a lot about Nyal's sort of sword fighting. Doesn't seem as interested. He's quite interested in Berna's bow shot. Asks you a couple of details, and he mentions a few things just about himself. You definitely get the impression that he's genuinely concerned about the farm. He seems to genuinely believe sort of like that it's cursed, but doesn't really know why. The way he says that he's been living here for a bit, he mentions that Bjorg is very kind. She's taken people in before. She took in Leifur, the young boy, when his father died on a raid. And
Is this the 15-year-old kid?
yeah, this is the 15-year-old kid.
Okay.
And he alludes that he might have been taken in too. Now, he's a bit older. He's probably around 30. Why he might have need to be taken in, he consistently gives the time frame that he's been here. You're sort of left with he has kind of like a little bit of maybe an inconsistent past, the kind of thing where it might be good for him to be if he were avoiding something, or if you're avoiding looking into a period of his history and considers his scars up his arms and things like that. You get the vibe that maybe he was involved in some stuff, but that was years ago.
It's so funny because, just to briefly interrupt, that's like the backstory for so many people who initially populated Iceland. So many of them were on the run. They're like a bunch of outlaws. Like a lot of them fleeing, like a Harald Fairhair, which is like this tyrannical king in Norway. They're all just coming here. So this is like, it's sort of like Alaska for us. For America.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone there is like on the run for something.
Well, I mean, and with that in mind, it's probably the type of character that you would be aware of. Yeah, this fits. You probably, You probably he's happy that you want to talk about yourself more than you want to talk about him.
Did he get what's his name? Did we get a name for the farmhand?
Yeah, his name is.
Oh yeah, I would have asked.
Ulfur.
Ulfur.
Great.
Ulfur. Okay. I'm most intrigued by the young boy being taken in and the father being deceased.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take that information, thank Ulfur, and quickly relay that back to the rest of the party that's here with me.
All right, we'll put pause there for a second and just see how this under the cloak check went. You return to the grove, Isgurdur and sit down. You begin to meditate a little more. You failed the roll last time, but now with a bit more information, you feel that you're gonna have a better shot at it. I'll ask you to make it again, and this time, I think that you can take a plus 20% bonus on it. Yeah. So Noura, if you can go ahead and make that check. So the under the cloak check with plus 20%. We can't hear you as well. Just quickly, you may have a mute may have happened.
I don't think so.
No, we're good now. So maybe it was just my bad.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Let me try to find. Sorry, I had this and I was looking for looking at my other skills.
Quite all right.
It's under the cloak, and I could hit this percentage and change the.
Yeah, you should have a modifier.
Modifier, and you said of 20.
Plus 20, yes.
Plus 20. Okay.
Oh no!
Ah.
And I rolled a 91 over 55.
This time it's not even the sounds of like fighting that throws you off. Is it the?
This is the curse.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
yes, yeah.
You can feel it. It's seeping in, and probably the lightest bits of rain are starting to splatter down in advance of the storm. You're aware it's coming. It'd be really great to. I mean, the storm's still going to hit. It's not going to dissipate magically, but it'd be really lovely to be able to make it so that the lightning doesn't, start targeting the hay bales and things like that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna head back then to shelter.
Yeah.
And safety.
Maybe not hang out in the place where a dozen lightning strikes have recently
Yeah,
hit.
I'm gonna get out of this little kill zone of
Kill zone.
bad weather.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. So rejoining the others around.
Yes.
At this point, Sigmundo, you step forward and you're able to say to people that Leifur's father died in a rage. You relate this information. You can see him. He's in full sullen teen mode. Like sort of hair kind of flopped down over his face, not really helping as much as the others who are all getting ready for the storm. That said, they seem so pressed for time that they haven't really had a chance to kind of like become cognizant of this fact.
The clothing. Is the clothing could possibly fit just by judging it?
Yes, with that in mind, it would if it's not him, it would have the only other person would be Cutler, which is the 14-year-old girl, and these appeared to be men's clothes, so you would really assume that it's his.
Cool.
They're also badly folded. It is a teenage boy.
Yeah, dead giveaway.
Yes.
Don't give teen girls that much credit.
Very true. Teenagers in general.
Fair.
I say we confront this horrible teen.
Same strategy as the cow, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go for it.
Yes, I'll take the lead. I pull
Okay.
my broadsword.
So you
I hope
you
I
go.
make it in time.
You could have
watch.
rejoined by now. You are the master manipulator after all. Surely someone will have the courage to go and confront this teenager.
We'll see.
So the four of you can head over, and I mean, are you trying to intimidate him, or are you trying to win him over?
Ooh.
Am I doing that? I shouldn't take the lead. Someone charming should do this.
Yeah.
Maybe if he's a teenage boy, maybe this is a job for a 20-year-old.
Yeah, let the witch.
Small-eared-
The witch.
Small-eared, but still maybe kind of hot.
Yeah.
Is Girthmore.
Hey, I
Small
bought.
ears is such a funny detail.
I'm beautiful.
I love it.
What are you trying to say?
Listen, this we could both do that. We could both do this, but like
I'm just kidding.
you know,
I'm just kidding.
she will go and try to flirt with him, which is weird. How old of a teenager is this? I don't know how weird.
He's on the cusp of 16, and just seems he's just trying to impress you more than direct making conversation, and it's
So we're not gonna get flirty because we're still all human beings existing in this space.
Yes,
So, but she'll
thinks
still
you're
be
super cool.
like So she'll still be try to talk him up.
Please go right ahead. It's so just make a charm check.
Okay, where is? I keep losing as soon as I find it. Here we go. Charm.
Excellent.
Dun, da, da, da.
Hey,
57 under
success.
80. Success.
As soon as he lives on a farm by himself, apart from his family. He's just happy to have someone to talk to, and he immediately starts trying to kind of like explain all the ways in which he's cool to you immediately. He drops a couple of interesting things. First of all, he mentions that he's going to go and travel the world. He sounds a lot like Berna, although of course she's actually out traveling the world and doing all kinds of interesting things, whereas he is at home talking about how he's going to, and they're pretty much exactly the same age, so go figure. But he also talks a lot about he's adopted, but his father died in a raid, and actually he's from this long line of really impressive warriors that go back for ages. In fact, the great hero Erikskur was one of his ancestors, and you can see him kind of go, shit, as soon as he says it.
Yeah.
But like he's just trying to say anything to impress you at this point.
I am the Fry from Futurama gif right now, where it's just like
Narrow your eyes.
narrowing in on this.
I picture 3 heads peeking around the corner in a row, kind of. Yeah.
And like, oh, you don't say. I mean, is that what you're training for? You want to go be so tell me more about this guy.
Well, he says he starts talking to you about all of these heroic deeds. He mentions that this hero has a cairn that's not far from. If you wanted to go on a walk, he could show you where the cairn is sometime. But goes through a few details like that. He does not go so far as to say, "Hey, I actually stole a sword and buried it," but. You're looking for circumstantial
rights.
He's digging a hole in the sense of incriminating himself, not in the sense of literally burying. But something else happens.
Oh, go ahead.
Very quickly, while the rest of you are sort of hanging back a bit, you have time to glance around the area a bit, and you can see this storm getting bigger. Berna, you've been keeping an eye on it for a while, and you've been tracking the direction it arrived. You've sort of been thinking about how you might be able to shelter from it properly. And you realize that in advance of it, a quite heavy mist and fog is starting to kind of like bloom across the landscape. And it seems to be coalescing. In fact, it's drifting around and like gathering towards the river, just towards the south of the property. In a way that you immediately go, much like the plague of mice, much like the behavior of the ox, this is out of place.
I'm gonna go find. Sorry, the owner of the farm. Can you say her name again?
Yep.
York. Find her and Is that normal? Does that happen often? The fog? down there? Like that?
Once she shows it to you, she seems quite nervous, and she says, nothing's normal these days, but strange weather has been a pattern of the curse. I should really bring my family inside, I think.
Shelter anyone who ought to be, but anyone who can take up arms. I'm not sure about this, but just be safe.
She glances around, her eyes flick to Ulfur, and I'll have someone out by the door ready, but I'll bring the others in. And she starts going to gather people up. So that conversation between Isguther and Leifur is going to last for a little bit. So if the three of you want to do anything else while you're out and about, you can. You can also start to sort of get a little closer towards the fog if you would like to, without totally approaching. It's kind of a cresting hill downward to the base of the vegetable patch.
Yeah, I think Niall would like to. He's curious about it. I think he would like to get closer to it, get a better look at what's going on. This is very strange.
Berna will go too.
Okay.
And same with Sigmunder. I wanted to rack my brain to see if there's any tales that I've heard that match what I might be seeing. If there's any connections I can make with lore.
Yeah. Can you make a customs Norse for me?
Let's do it. Ooh. Customs of the Norse variety. All right. That's gonna be 91. Ooh. Failure versus 16.
You're racking your brains, and I think that the most comical thing here would just be perfect is as you're walking down with the other two, you pick like 4 or 5 things, and in the same way that you were before telling these wonderful stories, you start to give all your theories about what this could be, all 5 of them in detail, and then as you're approaching, getting closer and closer to the fog, suddenly a shape comes looming out of it, which as you finish recounting your theories is going to blow them all out of the water. Standing in front of you, suddenly, right at the edge of the river, is a quite large wooden pole. It is amongst the reeds, sort of at the edge of the river, which is probably why it hasn't been spotted by the people up at the house until now. But it is covered in runes all along the shaft, and at the top is a large horse's head. That is kind of just jammed in and impaled upon it, standing stark. Skid, you mentioned you've done some Viking research. I'll put you to the test if your great courses contained what this could be, or your characters would know immediately at this point, though.
Yeah, this does sound familiar. I want to stress that I only took half of the lectures.
Hey,
so, I may not have gotten to this. This does sound familiar.
It's quite all right. This is what you would all recognize as a scorn pole. This is basically a.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you
okay. This Egil saga. This exact thing happened in Egil saga. It's a neath stone. They call it a neath stone.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that extra term, but yes, yeah, basically yeah. This is a tool which is used to curse an area, and it would be planted as part of a ritual outside a farm like this. Now, this one emanates.
Yes, that's exactly what it's for. Oh, thank you, great courses.
Exactly. Yeah, this is the help.
Covered this in the class?
Yes, this is this exact thing. No. So
I need you to send me the link after this.
I will. Everyone should take this course. Yeah, because Egil was angry with the Landvetir, which is the spirits of the land, and this was like to curse the land and insult them to make them crazy so they would drive away the tyrants that were holding sway over the country. That's amazing.
Awesome.
So standing and beholding this thing, immediately you can feel sort of this energy radiating off it. The wind is picking up, the rain is getting a little heavier, the storm is beginning to whistle with wind, but on top of the wind, you can now hear something else. It's almost a voice on the wind, and as you listen carefully, it forms into words, and it says, "Under the hills of Fjaholt's crest, Bjorg tends her fields in quiet toil. A thief crept into Erikur's cairn, stealing the blade sworn to the dead. Eric rises now, his gaze like embers, to curse the hearth that shields the crime. From the plants at the edge of the river, you see movement. There is a shape, and you think you see a blink of what might be burning orange eyes, but you are still quite far out from this, and unless you want to definitively step in, you don't know what's there yet, and you don't have your shaman with you.
Right.
I've got my arrow trained on it, but I'm not loosing anything, but I'm just like...
It's very much the world working against you too, like the drifting parts of the fog move to shroud. Yeah.
Sigmunder says, we have to get that, have to get what was taken back, and I have to get that out of the ground, as he points towards the, what was it called? The
Scorn Pole.
The Scorn Pole.
Absolutely. Now, the one last bit of this, and this is again a detail that you would know, taking these things down comes at a cost. It can be taken down willingly by the person who sets it up, but otherwise, hell is not in the habit of just sort of giving back things that are condemned like that, you know. So if you rip down the Scorn Pole, you will basically adopt the curse to a certain extent, and this has a mechanical effect. You can do it at the cost of permanent power.
I got you.
I think we have to go to that kid and like make him return the sword, or like pronounce the curse or something. Like he's the kid that did this. He buried the sword. He's the one that has to make this right. So we have to threaten to beat him up until he does it.
Yeah, we have to like
say, like, since we had split, like just as I'm like getting into like to reel him in and have a come to Jesus moment with him.
Yeah.
That like right as I'm about to threaten him, come to Thor moment. Right as this is about to happen, you guys like storm in, and we could all just and this is where we all reconnect.
That's perfect. As you all come in with a vengeance, he looks a little shocked. What's to be said?
I want to actually grab him like by the collar, by the scruff of the neck, and like drag him outside and point his head forcibly at this pole. It's like, look what you have wrought. Look what you have done by cursing this place. You must fix this. And I'm like grabbing on the back of his head, almost crushing it with my fingers.
I love it. He's pulled forward, and he starts to struggle, yell. He's blubbering. This is fantastic, but this isn't intimidate. Absolutely, and it's not necessarily your skill. Now, to be clear, you are a scary collection of people between the bows and the quarterstaffs and the blood-covered 6'5" warrior. He's not going to defy you, but what he might do is just fall to pieces and be completely unable to do much, but like blubber and like knees knocking, be unable to walk down and do anything remotely useful. So I'll ask you to make a intimidate check.
Can I invoke religion again? Because like in Freyr's name, you must do this. Can I do a religion thing again?
I like that, absolutely. And I think that if anyone else has anything they would like to throw in to try and also assist, I'll add a little bit more bonus into it if anyone could think of something.
When in doubt, sing. I'm going to sing.
Yeah.
I'm going to
We need a
chronicle
song
this
here.
moment. I'm gonna take everything I'm seeing and improvise a saga.
When in doubt, sing.
And Berna leans into bad cop as he's looking out over the mist. She like kicks him in the back of the knee, so he's like down on his knee and has like the arrow trained on the back of his head.
Very
that
good.
Dumb teen.
And then Isgarthor she'll hold the top of her quarterstaff and she'll rhythmically like bang it down on the ground. And she is trained in dance, but I would like to assume this is more of like a ritual, and she's just like chanting as she's doing this dance, and like that's scary.
Yes,
yeah, that's pretty scary.
This is all fantastic. All right, I'm going to get a couple of different roles in kind of various shapes. I'm going to start with asking London, could you resolve the role for Sigmunder's sing?
Do it. How am I rolling so bad?
Okay.
I'm putting my computer
I've never
in
seen
dice
worse
jail.
digital luck.
I know,
All right.
terrible. Now, so what I was going to say here is that it's possible that other members of Bjorg's family run out and see what's happening, and if you had been singing perfectly an explanation of what's going on narrator style, they might go, oh, I get it, this is he stole the but unfortunately you happen to be at the verse about like a particularly bad moment, and they don't really have the context, so they rush forward, and this could be something that interrupts what's about to follow in terms of the ritual going. At this point, there is fog building around, and you can see those eyes beginning to move forward out of the reed, slightly heading up towards where the Scorn Pole is. Elsewhere, so I think, in terms of just scaring this kid, Burnout, that's a given. You go forward. You are there as well. Now you can add a +20, I think, to this roll, given that, and then we'll also get you to make your worship check here.
Okay, I make my worship check. 20.
20. Okay, so that sounds like it's going to succeed. What's your worship, Freya?
My worship Freyr is 71, so that's
okay.
that's
So well, you are so well and truly through. It's not a special success, but it's enough so you can add a total of +40 to this.
Okay, +40. Oh my god, 96 over much less.
Not very good at all. Now
A
the
knife
worst
on
bit
this screen.
is that might potentially bring you into fumble territory. So what were you rolling against?
I was rolling against my Intimidate, which is what was my bonus? It was 30. What was it?
It was a total of 40.
Okay, so that would have been a 50. So it was 96 over 50.
96 over 50. Okay. So I'm just going to have a look at what the suggested fumble for for an Intimidate is. But this also could, have some kind of relevance in the ritual itself. In the meantime, though, can I ask for Isgathur? You've got this kind of like extra part that you want to help to try and set up. This is kind of like a larger spell. I think that this is something where you could absolutely make a magic roll. I mean, you are not literally casting a spell, but this is within your understanding of magic, and I'm happy to flex things for this to be part of like an ongoing ritual. It's probably something that you're going to have to continue to do and like stay around and help afterwards. But yeah, that's the rough shape of it.
Okay, great. Where would I find them?
So this is, I believe, got a 65 in it, which is your Seithur magic, I believe is the pronunciation.
I think I know where that is now.
It's under your mythic.
There it is, yes.
Perfect.
Yes. Got a 70 in it?
Oh, yeah, sorry, that's me out of date.
Yes.
Please, go right ahead.
All right. Come on.
Oh my
I got
God.
a 91 over 70. This place is cursed.
Unfortunately,
the curse is spreading.
everything here has just been messing with
It's
what you're
messing
able
with
to
my magic.
what you're able to sort of get through, and any focus you had, finally you're going to be able to get some clarity, some quiet, but it comes burning in. There's some yells as you see Ulfur actually not understanding what's going on, holding a quarterstaff in his hand, rushing forward, going whoa, because you can see that there's a bow being trained. You probably turn around and have the bow drawn, and it's just a confluence of events that work badly. Leifur is convinced he's about to be killed. He just collapses and starts blubbering, and then moving forward out of the fog comes this large creature, huge, taller than Jarl and wider, a corpse filled with patches of bone and sinew poking through old torn flesh, head askew, moving erratically, eyes burning red embers. This is a Draugr. a revenant
Sure is.
spirit of the dead walking forward, and that wind blowing continues to maintain that chant to curse the hearth that shields the crime. Reaches out with a single bony clawed hand and starts to walk towards Leifur. It's going badly. What does everyone do immediately?
Let him have the kid.
Yeah,
Back away. It's
Yeah,
like, hey,
seems to
man.
be what he's going for.
Yep.
What did we do with the sword?
I assume that it's like in front of Leifur at this point. It was because you were trying to get him to hand it back.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, I think Berna like kicks him in the back to kind of like push him onto his so that he kind of like goes forward and his hands are like near the sword and is kind of like nudging him forward, almost like forcing him to pick it up and offer it.
Yeah,
On an adventure, kid. Here you go.
right. So unfortunately, you have failed to intimidate him into action.
Right.
So as you kick him here, he tumbles forward. Now you're not failing. He just fails the adventure. So he falls apart. He's lying on the ground, continuing forward. Ulfur is hanging nearby, paralyzed in fear, not knowing what to do now, seeing the Draugr come forward. Unless you intervene in some way, the Draugr is going to reach this kid, grab the sword, grab him, and possibly fade off into the mist and myth, never to be seen again. That might be enough.
That's problem solved for me, guys. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm cool. That sounds,
same here.
It's all good. I'm covered in blood. I've had a wonderful day. This is fine.
But himself, he's on the floor. We're really just gonna let him take him.
Actions have consequences.
And suddenly everything kind of like freezes in place for you a little bit, Berna. There is a harshness to this world, and the others are a little older than you. Maybe they've been weathered a bit too much by it, or maybe they're just not standing up when they should be. You could try and charge forward. You could try and help, or one other thing occurs to you. You could the pole is right there. No one is guarding it. You could run over and wrench it out of the ground, and you know that there would be a curse that would slam onto you as a result. But maybe you can take it. Maybe you'd be more willing. Otherwise, maybe this is the time when you realize that sometimes actions do have consequences. Poor old Leif.
I'm not
I have a
willing.
question. I have a question.
Yes.
How hard is it raining right now? So hard that if I were to try to light an arrow on fire, would it stay lit?
You could probably get one through, you reckon? Yeah?
I would like to, seeing all of this happen and not, doing all of this kind of, mental calculus and looking at this kid crying and, knowing that I'm only 2 years older, but, all of this stuff and that he's just so young and his adventure has just started and, I think she's going through all of this and she just, lights an arrow and is gonna, square it at the pole and loose it and just hope that it will kind of weaken it at its base a little bit so that then she can run up and kind of my intention is to run up it a little bit and to kind of ride it down so that it falls out of the ground with a little bit of
With a little bit of style. That's fantastic. I mean, at this point, removing the pole is not the difficult part. It's what will follow that is going to be the difficulty. And I think narrative purposes, this works absolutely fine as the Draugr steps forward, standing just above, looming over Leifur now. There's a flash of red as an lit arrow streaks through the rain and the mist, striking into the pole, followed moments behind by Berna, who grabs it and heaves it out of the ground. I'll let you take over for a moment here. In terms of as you rip it free, is there like a sudden puff of mist all around? Is it almost anticlimactic as it wrenches forward and you stagger under the weight? Is there a sound in the air? What happens?
I think it's one of those moments where everything comes into such crisp focus, where like I think even the pole coming to the ground kind of like sends the mist spiraling and kind of like loosing, and so she's in this almost clearing in this mist as everything kind of comes into clear focus of what her actions have done, but the consequences are still obfuscated in the fog. But she's just kind of riding her bow and she's knocking it and just kind of like nodding to herself, accepting what has just happened, knowing that like whatever happens next, she can only do the best that she can, like to try to face it. And this is what the heroes will do.
That
Beard is a better person than I am. If there's a chance, if there's a crime or a curse and there's a chance to implicate a teen, I'm implicating the teen 100 times out of 100.
Yeah.
Seeing her race forward, is there any last thing that any of the three of you do? Any like, oh no, any oh yes for the narrative drama that you know is going to be applying?
I'm going to try to throw the teen at the pole.
Nice.
The last ditch attempts to
Oh.
No, please.
As that's happening, so the sword is on the ground in front of.
Yeah, so
it's
it's
about to be hurled by Niall. I would like to take my quarterstaff without touching it and just kind of like fling it, like kind of let it slide over towards the
Draugr.
The Draugr. So you absolutely you touch it with your quarterstaff and shove it forward. It skids across the ground and then moving with like cat-like agility, most unbecoming of this large, almost zombie-like creature. It leans down, picks up the blade and spins it around in this arc. You pull up the kid, Niall, and shove him forward. He staggers, the blade whips round. It will decapitate him, but a second before it does, the pole is wrenched out of the ground and it stops an inch next to his neck. The flaming eyes of this creature dull somewhat, and it opens its mouth and speaks, this time not on the wind, just speaking in a normal voice. It says, "No kin of mine," and then pulls the sword away, and without another word begins to walk back towards the river into the mist, past you, Berna, as it walks by. As it leaves, you feel, all of you, the heaviness in the air, that prickliness that has been there since the moment you arrived at the Finzoda farm, start to fade, except for you, Berna. You feel it begin to sharpen and deepen and bend your shoulders. And as you hold your bow, it feels rough and splintery. The feathers are catching, and every little joint begins to ache as you stand. As the misfortune that has been put upon the farm hits you directly. What would happen here is you would reduce your power by 2, and then you would have to start looking as a hero towards purification rituals to try and appease the gods that you have insulted, perhaps offering them something in return if you can't weather the burden. But that might be a story for another time, because the pole has been taken down. With Isgathur's protection and help and guidance, you will be able to maintain some rituals. It's not the happy ending where this everything is resolved so wonderfully and the mice go away, but the storm comes and damages the place, but does not burn it to the ground. And what goes forward will be hard times, but like Skid said, that's about half of the course at this time in Iceland. I'll go through and could everyone please give a little epilogue for their characters before we finish up. Let's start with Noura again, but then we'll skip over you, Berna, and leave you for last, just because the curse might have a little extra to play.
Isgathur takes some time after the storm is weathered and uses a lot of her ritual time to cast weather change. And so after this has been suffered, and while the initial curse has been lifted, or I guess slightly, she at least wants to bring some fair weather to the land. And so she'll take the time that it takes to cast weather change and to bring some fair weather.
Which is something that your magic totally gives you the ability to do. And you can do all kinds of things like try and set it for years to have good weather and things like that as you choose the dimension of your spell. But you'll be staying for a time working on that, and that's perfect. It will be much appreciated, and it will also mean you'll have to spend a lot of time near the surviving Leifur, unless he, scarpers to try and forget everything that's happened here. What about Njal?
Njal is deeply shaken by the events that happened here, and witnessing his companion Birna take on this curse. He leaves his wife. He leaves the Gotar's, the Goatee's daughter, and he wanders the land, finally encountering a young Eric the Red and joining him in his band of outlaws, eventually leaving with him on his expedition to found a colony in Greenland.
Excellent. I love it. And I'm sure that if the book Greenlanders has taught me anything, that goes fantastically.
Oh yeah, it's just a great place to set up a colony. Yes.
Yeah, you'll find the green eventually.
Eventually.
London for Sigmundur.
Years later, having traveled far away from Iceland, Sigmundur, in the court of a king, I imagine, perhaps the king of Poland, listens enraptured as Sigmundur finishes his poem. The curse is cracked, not cast away. It walks beside new flesh today. He says, solemn, thinking about the curse, thinking about his party, thinking about the newly cursed. And as his heavy eyes drift from the ground to the king, he simply says, huh? How's that?
A loud, polite applause. Fantastic. And last but not least, Birna.
Yes, I think Birna, the cursed now, has found purpose almost in this, has found the beginning of her own saga of trying to break this and fight against this tension and this I imagine that she's also taken Leofer was his name under her wing and is trying to train him up to be a hero, the teen, so that he can we're almost intertwined, fate bound in a way. She feels very much oh, you're going to deal with this too. And so drags him as they try to solve this curse. I picture her kind of sailing off into the sea at the front of a long boat, leaving Iceland on some mission to kind of discover more about this curse that she doesn't talk about a lot, but you see her kind of shifting her joints a little bit with that sharpness and that crack that initially settled in, and it's still just kind of lingering in her as she continues on.
I love
That's
it.
awesome. That's badass. Set to the sea, out the deep-minded herself.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, that's going to be about finish things up for today's session. Thank you so much, everybody. That is a scenario called The Cursed Farm, funnily enough. Again, thanks to our wonderful cast. I'll get everybody to mention where they can be found if people want to see more of you playing all kinds of cool stuff. But first of all, if you want to find out more about Age of Vikings, check out the Chaosium website where you'll be able to get all the information on availability and things like that. Thanks for watching. Let me throw over to Noura. Where can the people find you?
You can find me at Neurological across all social medias, and I'm also going to be hosting GameCon Canada June 13th through the 15th at the Edmonton Expo Center. So you can check more information at gameconcanada.com. It's going to be an amazing year this year.
Cool.
Fantastic. Ashley May.
I'm Ashley May King. You can find me across the internet at Ashley May King. I write games, I run games, and I like doing spooky stuff. So come say hi.
Perfect. Skid.
I'm Skid Maher. Hey Skid and Murdertron 3000. I love this game, by the way. I'm a huge fan of this. Like, I love games that like give me a chance to learn something new or dive into something new, and this really did that. The system's really cool. We kind of touched on it, but I like the combat system. I love like percentile-based skill systems. Really great. Love the world. It's great. But yeah, I'd love to play more of this. Let's play more of this.
It's a lot of fun. And London.
My name is London Carlisle. You can find me at London Carlisle on all the social medias. If you're in the States, come to New York, see me on stage or at regional theaters across the country. Other than that, follow me for all my gaming stuff as well. Also, I'll second that. I love this game and I love playing with Chaosium. So everybody watching, buy this game. Do it. You'll have fun. Your friends will have fun. Being Vikings.
Really good.
What's better than that?
It's great stuff. Thanks again, everybody, and a big thanks to Quest Portal. Yeah, this is Age of Vikings, and we hope you enjoy your playthroughs of the game. Thanks, everybody.